Hello, my name is David Crew and I'm a member of the AG006 committee that has responsibility for AS NZS 5601. This presentation will run through some of the changes that will form part of the new AS NZS 5601 Part 1 2022 edition. A summary of the changes has been completed and can be found under the preface at the front of the new standard. We'll run through some of the most significant changes in this video. As always, it's important to check the standards anytime you're completing gas installation work. Please be aware that this video will not go through all the changes in the new standard, but the most significant. So moving on to some of those changes now. Firstly, a definition has now been included in AS NZS 5601 Part 1 for fire safety system. This was included as a result of changes to the requirements around multi-layer pipe, which will be discussed in further detail later in this video. This definition was provided with the assistance of the Australian Building Codes Board. A new definition in clause 1.3.65 for ignition source has been included in AS NZS 5601 Part 1. Ignition sources include, but are not limited to, flames, incandescent material, electric sparks, hot surfaces, and mechanical impacts. Section 2 of the new standard has now been split into two different sections, one being for essential safety requirements and the other being performance-based design requirements. This has been done to prevent confusion around the two separate types of requirements in Section 2. Essential safety requirements is first in Section 2, followed by performance-based design requirements. Brazing will now be prohibited within 1 metre of a joint with non-metallic components installed. It is important to note that there may be specific requirements that manufacturers also require when brazing or silver soldering is being carried out. Clause 5.2.12 now includes the prohibition of brazing or silver soldering within 1 metre from non-metallic components. Changes have been made to the requirements for installing pipes in wooden joists or metal frame walls. Previously, there were limited requirements in relation to this issue, but following consultation with AS NZS 3500 series of standards, a similar requirement has now been made in the new AS NZS 5601 Part 1. There have been figures included to help explain the requirements for both wood and timber frames. The requirements in clause 5.3.14 state the location and maximum size of holes to be drilled when installing fitting lines. Prohibition on the installation of multi-layer pipe above ground external to buildings. Clause 5.3.16 will now prohibit the use of multi-layer pipe being installed above ground outside a building. For example, if a multi-layer pipe was to be installed to a metre location and the multi-layer pipe was planned to be protected from UV, this would now be considered non-compliant to the new standard. The AG6 committee responsible for 5601 has received considerable feedback on this issue from both manufacturers and consumers to come to this decision. It is also worth noting that permanent joints are required anytime a join in a fitting line is completed in an inaccessible location, for example, in a cavity wall. Clause 5.2.11 now requires the use of specific isolation devices to be installed if there is multi-layer pipe installed within a building. This clause states that if a multi-layer pipe has been installed, the installation shall be fitted with a system that will shut off the gas supply when the fire safety system operates. We've previously discussed what a fire safety system and the new definition that has been included in AS NZS 5601 Part 1. The isolation valve installed must be a Class 1 safety shutoff valve and installed and be located prior to any multi-layer pipe and be as close as practicable to the gas supply point or gas meter. AG6 has included this requirement due to the durability and mechanical strength that multi-layer pipe has when subjected to fire. Extensive testing and research has been conducted on this issue. Alternatively, for Class 1A buildings, for example, a standalone house as defined in the NCC, when no fire safety system has been installed and the volume of the fitting line is less than 30 litres, a device that automatically shuts off the gas supply if gas tightness, for example a leak, is adversely affected by a fire emergency event shall be provided. The same location requirements will apply as previously discussed. There are now increased clearance requirements between domestic cooking appliances and range hoods to align with IEC 60335-2-31, household and similar electrical appliances. The requirements in clause 6.10.1.1 change from 600 millimeters currently to 650 millimeters for clearances to range hoods. This revised clearance brings the standard in line with other jurisdictions around the world. Clause 6.6.1 now prohibits the use of semi-rigid connectors for use on the installation of commercial catering equipment. Unless in the case of semi-rigid stainless steel connectors, it forms part of a certified hose assembly. Or, in the case of a semi-rigid connector, forms part of a certified appliance. That means that if it has been approved as part of an appliance. Multi-layer pipe will also be prohibited within 1 metre of the nearest part of the appliance, and the final connection be made in either copper, steel, or a certified hose assembly. Semi-rigid connectors are approved for 30 movements, whereas hose assemblies are required to be approved for 7,500 movements. Extensive testing has been undertaken around the requirements for protection of combustible materials. Table C.2.2 now requires a minimum 15 millimetre thickness for the protection of combustible materials around commercial catering equipment. And you can find more information in regards to this requirement in Appendix C of the new standard. New pipe sizing graphs and tables have been included in the Appendix F, based upon the Churchill friction factor equation rather than the National Fuel Gas Code. These tables are less constrictive for complex gas installations where there are long pipe runs and large diameter piping, and are more in keeping with the flow capacities of the previous 2004 standard. ESV in the future will be putting information on its website to assist in pipe sizing. Appendix K has been revised to include the effect of altitude on gas supply pressure for high-rise building installations. It is important to remember the effect of gas pressures and how it is affected by the height of a structure. Compensation needs to be allowed for. A general rule of thumb is that for natural gas, the pressure will increase by approximately 0.5 kPa for every 100 metres rise in the building. Clause 6.9.4 now has revised requirements for the location of flue terminals under a covered area, in a recess or on a balcony. Flue terminals will now be required to extend beyond the external corner of the covered area and discharge towards an open area as depicted in the diagrams on our screen. Additionally, flue terminals under any circumstances shall not be located in roof spaces. This requirement now brings Australia in line with requirements in New Zealand. Clause 5.2.9.2 will now require where more than one commercial catering appliance is to be installed in a kitchen, either of the following shall apply. A single quarter turn manual shutoff valve shall be installed to isolate all appliances. The manual shutoff valve shall be readily accessible and clearly identified. A readily accessible emergency stop button, which is clearly identified by a sign, shall be connected to an electrically operated valve with a key operated reset function to ensure no gas flows to the installation after the restoration of power following a power failure. There are new requirements for the isolation of installations in educational institutions. Clause 5.2.9.1 now requires installations to have a readily accessible quarter-turn manual isolation valve, a solenoid connected to a timing device set to the duration the installation is expected to operate, a readily accessible emergency stop button, signage adjacent to the emergency stop button indicating its purpose, operating instructions for the emergency stop button, and the system shall require pressure proving of the downstream installation prior to restoration of the gas supply. There are now specific requirements for the connection of freestanding commercial catering equipment using a hose assembly. Clause 6.10.2.7 will now require the hose assembly to hang in a U-shape. Hose assemblies are required to be either Class B or D. Means to prevent damage to the hose and assembly will now also be required. ESV sees a high level of non-compliance in this area, which initiated a change to the standards. In the future, we will be looking to include this issue in our zero tolerance policy. New requirements have also been introduced for freestanding commercial catering equipment with an under equipment connection. Clause 6.10.1.10 will now specifically prohibit the connection being made by a hose assembly or semi-rigid connector. Clause 6.10.2.2 has been changed to include more appliance descriptions, and some distances for certain appliances have been changed, as can be seen on our screens in Table 6.10.2.2. AS NZS 5601, Clause 6.10.2.2 is not limited to grease filters located directly above the commercial catering appliance, but rather incorporates any part of any grease filter which is within the maximum required exclusion area as depicted by the picture on your screen. A reminder that this clause forms part of ESV's zero tolerance policy when inspecting or approving commercial kitchen installations. As detailed in this presentation, there are substantial changes from the 2013 edition of AS NZS 5601 Part 1, and therefore all gas fitters are encouraged to purchase a copy of the newest AS NZS Part 1 2022 edition standard. Standards can be purchased from the Standards Australia store or on the SAI Global Info Store, which links are available on both their websites. That concludes our presentation on the changes to AS NZS 5601. As always, if you have any further questions, please visit our website or contact us on our technical helpline. I'd like to thank you for watching this video.